good morning. Welcome to DuoLinguish. Today we're going to talk a little bit about misalignment and perceived laziness. I'd like to start by saying you are not behind. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You are listening deeper than the world ever taught you to, and that is your power. Today, there's a lot of emotions, and so I would like to start off with a physiological sigh, just 3 breaths, just kind of maybe a little quick. They don't need to last too long. But it's a 2-part inhale and then a 1-part exhale. So you inhale, a little sip, and then out. Again. Out. Last one in. And out. Ooh. There's a lot of death happening. And we feel it for sure. Today I am moving through a lot of sadness. I'm moving through a lot of anger. And just trying to, still do stuff slowly. Oh my
Slowness is a strategy. I know y'all are used to me talking way before now. They're like, what's happening? What's happening is change.
Change.
Yeah, slowness as a strategy. And it's a really unique time for me as well. I actually haven't had a chance to tell Cami this yet, so you guys are getting the truth all together.
True.
You heard it here first. But I'm just really grateful to have been guided by her so much in the last 9 months, that I feel so confident in my own skills to be able to support her as she now moves through death of her own. So
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Of course.
I feel so good, you guys. I'm like, I fucking got this. Come at me, bitch. What demons? But in general, like Cami said, we're feeling the death of the collective. We actually, literally today, it's June 4th when we're recording this, just so you know. Today, we will be dropping a temple space that is literally born for helping you move through death and rebirth. Yeah, we just felt this call, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't even make sense for us to create this right now because we're also about to drop all our one-on-one offers, but I just told Cami, I feel like people need something. I feel like people need space. People need space is the reality.
As much as they can get.
As much as they can get. And not just space, but space where we don't have to come in and be productive, where we don't have to come in and provide a result, where we don't even necessarily have to explain, like, here are my desires and here's what I want to work on. No, what have you done already? You are a sovereign being. You are powerful as fuck if you're listening to this podcast. So there's no way in hell that you've landed here without doing some stuff. And you're going to tell me what you've done, and I'm going to celebrate you. We're going to celebrate you. I is we. So. And also help you move through any sludge that might be left from death, because death is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it can be beautiful, and I think that in the spiritual space we really glamorize death, actually. We get real
We're
excited.
always talking about
oh, let's die!
Yes.
But nobody tells you what to do when you're reborn and you have all this new practice to put in. And
Yes.
You're looking around and you're like, maybe my environment doesn't support the practice that I want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
And our environments can be more than just our home, right? More than just our work setting, more than just our friends and family, but also our mentors, our lovers, our coworkers. Our environment is influenced by smell, taste, sound. It's so much more than just the people, right?
Yeah.
So I actually heard something during our meditation this morning that I think really is fitting before we hop into the meat of the episode. But he said that the universe expands through relationship.
Brian
Scott's fucking amazing. Follow him on YouTube.
Thanks, Brian.
Listen to his podcast.
We love you
We're
so
going to
much.
have him on this podcast one day. Just manifesting it.
Fangirl.
Putting it out there. Got you, Brian. Okay, next. Anyways, By the way, Brian has literally saved us from like actual death. Okay, and his shit is free. So also, okay, I digress. I'm done now. For real. Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
We love you, Brian. But he said the universe expands through relationship, not through isolation. And I thought that that was so potent and powerful because you can be as good as you want to be by yourself, right? You can be the fucking greatest by yourself. In fact, that's who a lot of us are. We are the smartest, the most spiritual, the most expanded in our groups, right? And that's why we get these little egos, trick us into thinking we don't have to die again. And so it's funny because we romanticize it so much that we start to avoid it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, but I die all the time. But are you though?
I think if it's this collective, we haven't died in a long time.
Yeah.
We've had some like little ego deaths, but we just shifted. All of us have worked really hard to cultivate this space of safety. All of us have worked really hard or are in the process of working hard. Let's say we've emptied the space of all the clutter and now we know that a space by ourselves is nice and safe, right? So now we've been trying to incorporate new friendships or partnerships or maybe even relationships with, you know, parents or siblings or something that are supposedly also attempting to do this, right? And so in this moment of death, especially when the body wakes up, so it's more in like, it is in that rebirth moment. So you've died. Now you've woken up in this new reality, in this new safe space that you've cultivated, but you realize that your head is still doing what your head does. And because you've just been alone in your safe temple house and everyone around you has been asleep, it's real easy to get away with just understanding that these are just parts of ourselves and accepting those parts of ourselves without actually having to do anything about them. Because in order to do something about them, you have to practice with another human.
Right. And this is where the myth of laziness is born, right? Because let's be real, you guys. When we're changing real habits, like when we're changing habits we've had for 30 plus years, I want to take it, let's get real somatic and scientific with it today. The unconscious body lives from ages 0 to 3. So between these years, we all have experiences, specifically with our caretakers. I'm not even going to say parents, because not everybody had their parents, right? But with our caretakers, whoever was supposed to be in charge of us, that set us up for life. For life. With unconscious responses to certain caretaking behaviors. And so when your husband or your wife or your partner or your partners, whoever you are, wherever you are, when they trigger you and you're like, why the fuck is this still triggering me? I thought we worked through this shit. We've been to counseling. I use the 5 steps.
I understand myself.
I'm patient with him, her, them. Right? Like, I'm like yelling at you guys today. I'm sorry.
These are strong.
But it's in the slowness, right? We learn how to do the new thing in the slowness. It's when we slow down. And so it's interesting because, and we were talking about this actually right before the episode, even Cami was like, well, we learned this in like school. But even before then, we learned this from our households, right?
Think Hermione Granger.
Yeah, that slowing down is failure. And we see this in the coaching industry, you guys. Literally, we do everything from urgency, okay? And I'm tired. I get online and I'm tired. I see one post from urgency and I'm like, whew.
I think America runs on urgency.
I know that. Yeah.
America.
And I know that girl was tired after she wrote that post.
Probably, because somehow you have to make the message sound different. And you have to somehow make people feel like you're not stressed, like you're not stressed.
She closed Canva like, ugh.
Oh my god. It's incredible.
I did it. I broke my phone.
It's incredible. And in reality, I think that a lot of the laziness that we feel we experience, especially when it comes to neurodivergence.
Oh,
yes, you all get it.
Oh, yeah.
What's more boring than stuff we don't like? Okay? So stuff we don't like and stuff we don't enjoy means unaligned. Okay? So for example, we have to work, we have to survive, and we need money here. I understand. So if there is a job, if you're in a job that you don't like, and every day you struggle to get out of bed, of course you hate that job. You're not lazy. This this
Right.
repetitive. This is very detrimental. This repetitive cycle, because the laziness. Once we tell ourselves that we're lazy, this is what leads to those patterns of behavior where people work themselves to death.
Yeah.
Right? Where, like, my mother growing up, well, she still won't take a day off of work unless, she's maybe vomiting profusely, which, by the way, is something that hardly ever happens, right? Because she's, like, incredibly healthy, right? So, but always incredibly tired, and work is always crazy, and perhaps she enjoys some of it, I'm sure. Mom, I know you like your job. But we do not live in a culture where taking care of yourself is a thing, because for many reasons, laziness is one of them.
Yeah.
If you stop,
Yeah.
you're lazy and unproductive.
Yeah.
And you're not, it's like this overachieving.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not, we're going to get to this in a minute, but I have to say it now. It's not laziness, it's misalignment. Especially when we're doing something that everybody else is applauding us for, right? This is where it gets real tricky, because we're being productive and we're getting validated, and everybody on the outside is like, wow, you're doing so good. And you feel like a lazy piece of shit, and at the same time, you're burnt out. It's it's wild. I know, I've been there not too long ago, y'all. It's all right. We don't have to talk about it too much. We're going to skip right past it and get to the meat, which is the reason you feel burnt out and stressed out, even though you're hitting all the marks, is because you're misaligned.
Yeah.
It's not because you're not doing the right shit. It's not because you're lazy. You're doing the thing. You're hitting all the bars. You're getting all the gold stars.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want it.
But we're
It's not
perhaps...
actually what you're here for.
Yeah. It's like the things that we are actually... Okay, so here's how it works. You have a dream. You have a place you want to go. Your job is to hold this beautiful frequency dream and then do stuff here, little tiny things that carry the same frequency as this dream, including things like, for us, for example, we obviously have a dream of working with a healing collective. Therefore, we better have some habits that reflect the stuff we're telling people to do, right? So that means in our day-to-day life, we need to be making sure that we are meditating, or whatever practice, breath work, whatever practices are going to get us to this point that align with the thing. However, when we are doing things here that do not carry the same frequency. For example, if you talk about freedom, but you are using verbiage of urgency and suppression, and what word am I looking for? It's urgency, sure, lust, but something else. The point is that they're fleeting and they're conflicting ideals. We cannot, you can't free people with chains.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't make sense. So
it would be like if we called ourselves deprogrammers and then we continued to write content the same way for y'all.
Exactly.
Right? You'd be like, what?
Or if suddenly I learned copy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Suddenly
Right?
Cami's copywriting all.
It would be strange.
But we're deprogrammers.
It would be strange. So speaking of projectors, for example, and saying in the 3D, right? So we must hold the dream, then we must do little things in the 3D that somehow slowly take us there. So as projectors, I think this can be a little tricky, because we're here like, we're supposed to be invited to things. And so sometimes...
I think we have the trickiest job, honestly. Most of y'all
Waiting
have this
versus wilting.
very certain pull of this is the thing. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a quad split, because we have a co-creator who's a 6-2 generator.
Oh my God.
With a quad split. And even she has the like the go, right? The get up, the quickness that we're all so like, oh yeah, let's move fast. She's got it. But by nature, right? This is just who she is. Mm-hmm. As projectors, this is not just who we are. Okay, we are literally, when you think of the monk oracle sitting in the fucking cave, that's who we are.
I'm a frolicker monk.
Come talk to me. Give me all your things. I'll channel them through the divine.
Exactly. But for us, this can be a little difficult because we are here sort of waiting to be invited for things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes this is what happens with the waiting, right? Tricky. What's happening in the 3D if you're waiting? Well, you're not doing much if you're just waiting.
Yeah.
Right? So just really understanding it's just so subtle because it's really just maintaining, aligning your body as often as possible. Mm-hmm. Consciously realigning your body as often as possible to the frequency of this dream or thought or idea that you're holding. Mm-hmm. This is not easy. Like it is, but it isn't because there's 24 hours in a day. Yeah. And again, neurodivergence. So we have to be refocusing.
And slowness also doesn't mean stillness. I think that's where people get mixed up too. And I'm realizing that this quantum leap that everybody talks about happens in the slowness, not stillness, because you're not moving in stillness, right? There's a time and place for stillness. We love stillness. Mm-hmm. And it's actually in the slowness, the intentionality, the I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to consciously do it differently. And if it doesn't reflect what I desire, then I'm going to try again. And I'm going to try again. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep working at this until it reflects and attunes to the frequency that I want it to be in. This is something I'm doing right now with our content. You know, I am so committed to deprogramming my own language, my own training, my own urgency, my own fear of the myth that I'm lazy. And this is something I've been transmuting for a long time. This is something that has been a thing for me since I've been in the work field, in the workforce really, since I've been an adult working person.
I was called lazy all the time as a kid.
Oh, as a kid as well, yeah, for sure. Or that I just spent so much time daydreaming. Yeah. But I think that all of these little things that we get told, they're seen as a resistance, right? That we're resisting life somehow.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're resisting life. You're just resisting the lie that you're only worthy if you're producing.
Or moving. And doing something.
Going fast.
God.
Whoa.
Honestly. Oh my God. And then what happens? How do you know when you're misaligned? Well, you're exhausted all the time, anxious all the time. You may be more avoidant of course, in your personal life. You may be avoidant. What I mean is like avoidant to your own projects, avoidant to your own self, and then also avoidant to everybody else. You're going to feel burnt out. All of these are the lazy. I feel lazy because you're exhausted, anxious, avoidant, burnt out.
Yeah. And when I was still working in the dental world, so the second to last dental job I ever had, this was a big one for me. This was also the same year that I had kind of the spiritual psychosis that I've shared with you guys. Yeah. Cami and I worked there together, and I learned so much about my own perception of my own laziness in this job because it wasn't that the job was a bad job. No. It was actually a really great job, but I always got to this point, it seemed to be about after 6 to 12 months, somewhere in here, of being at a job where I would just get very unstimulated, right? And this happens for people with neurodivergence. We need fucking stimulation. And and I was just very unstimulated.
Our passion is not teeth.
Yeah, I know. But also, I was over pouring into work. I would still show up early sometimes. I would come in on Fridays, even though I wasn't always necessarily working Fridays. But then I would call out on days that I was supposed to be there.
She would.
Yeah. So it's this weird thing, right? Because we think that we're being more helpful, like we're being more productive. But no.
Then she'd be like, fuck it.
And then I just would stop showing up for
It's
work.
Wednesday. Hump day.
That's why I have to tell you guys, I'm just seeing so many, the word conviction, I'm going to go off on a tangent right now. The word conviction cracks me up because conviction had nothing to do with it. I was very convicted to this is going to be my job. What did I tell you? 2 or 3 years? I'm like, this is going to be it. I was very convicted to that. But it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with what my nervous system could hold. And my nervous system was fucking exhausted.
I'm waking up at 3:45 in the morning.
But then I was also exhausted by work. Okay, one of the reasons this job became so draining is because I was paying all the attention to the job, none of the attention to me, or to the things I wanted, or to my relationship at the time. I mean, at least I saw her because we worked together every day.
Yeah. I have so many pictures of her asleep on the bus. And is that weird?
Just to go to kickboxing.
It's like Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, so then I'm also losing 115 pounds in this very same time. Okay, think about the stress that my body is under.
Honestly.
I'm pissed off at work all the time.
Yeah.
Then we were also having a real HR issue with her and somebody else who worked there. So I was extra pissed off, because it's Cami.
And remember I said we woke up at 3:45 in the morning.
Then we woke up 3:45 every day.
And then we wouldn't get home till 7.
Right, and then I would try to go to the gym, so then I'm not getting home till 9.
Yay!
Then I'm showering, and then my boyfriend's like, well, I'm female, and I'm like, I gotta get up at 3 in the morning, shut the fuck up. And then they're like, well, why did she leave after 7 months?
Yay!
So, it's interesting what we label as a society as laziness versus productivity, right? Because in my mind, I'm giving so much to this job, but not really, because I couldn't even show up on the days I was supposed to, the days I was convicted and committed to.
Mm-hmm. And then what? Then we get into that judgment.
Oh my God, yeah. Then we just start judging ourselves and then chasing perfection, which this is one of my gene keys. It's literally my life purpose, so we can talk about perfection all day. We're already there, by the way, just so you know. It's already done.
We're perfect.
It's already perfect. There's nothing to perfect. There's nothing to refine.
That's the key.
I know it's hard to accept.
I know.
But as soon as you stop judging things, suddenly you can find the perfection.
Yeah. Speaking of her gene key specifically, this is her gene key 18 for those that are for those that are into it. I have the gene key 12, which is the gene key of purity. Stop. Well, with this gene key, we get a little bit addicted to performing. Now, the thing is that you don't really know you're performing. Remember, this is a gene key, so this is something that you unconsciously do. To add to this, I grew up in an emotionally dysfunctional home, of course, and perfection, purity, they just go on hyperdrive. You must
constantly performing.
Yes, and you don't know that you're performing at all because you're just trying to keep the peace. You're just trying to just keep everything level, keep yourself neutral, keep yourself the same. Yeah. Keep myself pure and the same. Yeah. So that my environment can be calm. Mm-hmm. So this is very hard to deprogram on the outside. It does not mean that I don't necessarily... Okay, I can see from other people's perspective this sort of pure of heart thing. But it's, I don't know, it can be very... Gosh, the performative aspect and the output of this can just be so subtle. Mm-hmm.
Especially by the time we're adults. By the time we're when we're here looking at it, it's so interwoven into our behaviors and our habits and the way we've created our lifestyle even. We have to really be willing to, I hate using this because it's so cliche, but in a way, burn it all down, right? This is where we come back to death, because are you actually willing to die? The identities that have held you for decades, those ones, are those ones willing to die? Are you willing to leave them in the altar of your body with so much love? And also say no more.
This is hard. Do you know how hard it was the first time, for example, that Desiree witnessed me like, angry?
Oh, man.
Now, the thing is, I spent years warning her about my anger. Like,
Not just hard for me, though. Also hard for her to express it.
Oh
for
my God.
her to, like, tell me that she was mad.
Already.
Just to get there.
The calmest people that you meet and the ones that have the most perceived patience, please let me tell you that those are the angriest people you know.
Yeah.
Okay, we have stuff going on, and we're always calming it down. Okay?
The rage that happens behind peace.
Do you understand? I am the hope.
Yeah.
When that man said, I'm always angry, I was like, oh.
I know. I felt that so deep. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. But this is hard, and it is breaking this paradigm, right? One of the first things when Desiree and I first worked together, the very first job we had with that one young dentist that we mentioned, both of them used to tell me, they would stare at me and be like, I wish I had your patience. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get you there. Don't worry. And then you will see that I am full of impatience. And being patient does not mean that you do not feel impatient. It means that while you are feeling impatient, you choose to demonstrate otherwise, because that is not the energy that I wish to be in. And that's it. And that's the crazy part of enlightenment, being an enlightened being. Get out of the thought that you will never experience shitty feelings. When you see other people that your little heart puts above your own, perhaps I am one of these people, drop it down. Drop me down right now. Drop me down right now. It does not mean that these things do not happen. To think that the Dalai Lama doesn't get upset, go through jealousy, rage, is absurd.
Yeah.
Because he's a human.
Yeah. And this is also one of my gene keys. Dancing at number 15, gene key 15. I think this is part of I don't remember what part of my life's path it is, but it's one of the major gene keys for me. And this one is going from dullness as the shadow to luminescence as the city. What we also call magnetism. What's funny is that's the in-between of the two, right? So magnetism is a stepping stone. We're going to talk about this in a second. But I think that the extremes, when we can learn how to live in extremes, now I'm going to tell you guys, obviously, I've shared I've been through spiritual psychosis, I've been an addict of many things, I've had to lose weight a lot of times, right? I've been through a lot of spiritual tests in my life. And I have a deep knowing and relationship with depression. I can get so low, you guys, which is wild, because I know a lot of you look at me and think I'm just this rainbow light of the world, and it comes from being so sad. It comes from, if I don't create these emotional extremes in my life, then there's no magnetism for me to move, right? We were sharing with you guys about projectors, this idea of waiting for the invitation isn't always a literal invitation. Sometimes it's energetic. But I have to be in a place that I'm listening to the extremes of life, to know now is a time to go inward. Now is a time to go outward. And this isn't necessarily meaning if I go inward that I'm depressed, that I'm dull. It's just understanding, where is the light right now? Is it more within me, or is it is it more within me, or is it more feeling outside of me? Does it want to expand or does it want to contract? And knowing how to live in between all the extremes has actually made me a healthier human. I don't have depressive episodes anymore because I know how to sit down and be fucking sad.
Yes.
I know how to just for 2 minutes and then I'm okay. Well, sometimes it's more than 2 minutes, but that if we're going with like the scientific recommended time, if you really feel an emotion, you only need 2 minutes to feel it. Okay? So this is also a good little gauge. You can just like pin that note for yourself. When you're in your embodiment practice tomorrow, the next day, I just want you to sense how long you can feel an emotion. Like how long do you let yourself feel that emotion? Most of us cut out like after 30 seconds. We're like, get me out of here, bro.
Come on, 60 seconds.
Woo, so 120?
Come
I
on.
dare you. And then I want you to DM me and just tell me about one of the emotions. You don't even have to tell me
120.
about all of it.
She said 2 minutes.
Set a timer. You got it.
Oh my god.
You got it. If you're listening to this episode, you're ready.
Oh my god. Check this out. My gene key 36. Okay. So the gift is the gift of humanity, which is a gift of emotional maturity. Thanks. Except what's the shadow? Fear of crisis. Isn't that hilarious? And then the city, SIDDHI, is compassion. Compassion is something that is born from suffering. Okay. So a gift for understanding humanity and emotional maturity, but an intense fear of crisis. So when we go back to purity and performing, because if I'm I'm intensely afraid, I'm in damage control all the time. And when people, you got emotional people around you, by the way, okay, everybody's emotional. And we got emotional people who don't even know they're emotional. Anything could set them off. Someone like me, man, I'm always ice skating. Okay? Even when I stand still, it's like I can't stand still. I'm just like slowly turning.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about when we first became friends and I'm like, fuck, we were so triggering to each other's nervous systems. Unconsciously. At least we knew that though. We were like, this person's not trying to trigger me.
No.
She's not conscious of her triggers, and so I'm gonna do this with her. But damn, we really were triggering the shit out of each other, actually.
We were.
The first couple of years.
We were.
That's the point.
It just wasn't in such a, it wasn't in such an apparent way. It's
Such
not
a like loud, malicious way.
No,
yeah, we weren't going out of. We were obviously
clearly
trying
here
not
we
to
are.
hurt each other's feelings. Right.
So we were clearly the first people that were willing to sit down and talk about things.
Yeah.
We were the first people in our lives that were able to call each other out.
Yeah, we were the first people to be able to honor each other's pacing. And this is actually where today's episode is going to stop. So you guys will have to check out the next episode to talk about the pacing and how we break up with the myth of laziness.
How do we do it? Divorce.
I'm excited.
Okay, guys, look at that. We did it. It's not an hour. It's not even 40 minutes.
We had some notes from our advisor.
Ain't not gonna be no part 1, part 2. It's gonna be one
They
episode.
said, ma'ams, you need to stop talking.
One.
So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.